Hey guys, it is September the 11th, 2024, and I hope everybody's having a wonderful day so far today. I just want to start off today's show in remembrance of all the people who lost their lives on this day back in 2001, September the 11th. Gosh, that was, 23 years ago now, and seems like it was just yesterday. And this day is one of those days where, you never forget where you were at when this happened. It's kind of like what they talk about with the Kennedy assassination. People remember where they were, what they were doing, all those types of things. And I'll never forget where I was at on this day back in 2001. I was at my house. I didn't have to be at work until later on in the day, and my wife was in college during that period of time, and I was laying in the bed watching television before I went to work, and I was watching the news, as a matter of fact, and when I turned the news on, they were discussing the fact that one of the planes had hit the first tower. And, they weren't really sure what had happened, and, they weren't sure if, somebody accidentally hit the tower, because I think something like that had happened in the past before. I don't really remember, but then as I was watching the news, the second plane hit, and then right then, everybody knew this was not an accident, this was an attack, and I just remember how the rest of the day played out. I remember that whole entire day, like it was yesterday. I remember, the second tower getting hit. I remember that one plane that came down. What was it, Flight 93? I remember them hitting the Pentagon. It was a very scary day for the world. Not only just our nation, but the world, because nobody knew what was going on during that period of time. And then they closed, they shut down all flights for quite some time. And as a matter of fact, my old boss, his wife was in Las Vegas with her boss. And she was supposed to fly back like that day, and she was stuck there for I think like 2 weeks until she could come back home. My boss was all stressed out about it because he just wanted his wife to come back, and she couldn't fly. And I remember they were talking about renting a car and her driving home and all that kind of stuff, and it was a mess. And more than anything, a lot of people lost their lives that day. And, a lot of people's lives were changed forever on that day. People lost loved ones. They lost their mom, their dad, their brother, their sister, their husbands, their wife, their cousins, their aunts, their uncles. It wasn't just a person that passed away in that event. It affected so many different people on that day. And once again, just wanted to remember all those people who lost their lives on that day. Well, on this day, back in 2001. God bless all those people. But what I want to talk about today is something that I think that most people that are watching this are going to be able to relate to. And what I want to talk about today is I'll wait until tomorrow. And like I said, I'm sure there's so many people here that are going to be able to relate to what I'm talking about. And how it applies to me is that for so long, I told myself every single day that it can wait until tomorrow, that I'm just going to drink for today. Tomorrow never came. It was every single day I told myself that. Every day. Every single day I told myself, tomorrow will be the day. Or it was next Monday or next Friday or whatever the day was that I chose. But for the most part, it was always tomorrow. I'm going to wait until tomorrow. But I'm just going to drink for today. I was stuck in this loop. I just couldn't get out of it. And, the thing is that, when we're in active addiction, our minds just, they don't function properly. And we fool ourselves into thinking that we're actually going to stop. Tomorrow we actually will quit. Until tomorrow. Excuse me. Until tomorrow comes. And when tomorrow comes, it's always this idea, well, I'm just too hungover today, or, I had a really stressful day at work, or I just got into a fight with my wife, or I got in a fight with my husband, or, I've got this really stressful event going on in my life, or whatever it is. There was always an excuse to go back to drinking again. And I know that I made the excuse every single day. I never could follow through with it. And one of the things about it is that, when I would tell myself that lie, and, the thing is, deep down inside, I think I really did mean it. I think I really did want to. But also, deep down inside, I knew that it wasn't going to happen. I know that sounds crazy to say, but that's really what was going on in my mind. I had this idea that I am actually going to stop tomorrow. But what I would always do is I would always drink to excess. And I think that's one of the reasons that I always drank the way that I did, because I always told myself that I'm going to stop tomorrow. And it just never worked out. The thing is that, like I said, I would tell myself tomorrow I'm going to quit. So I'm going to finish off the rest of the alcohol that I have in the house, because I can't throw this stuff away, and I'm not going to waste my money on it. So I've got to finish what I have here. And, if I had, let's say 3/4 of a half gallon of vodka, well, you better know that I was going to finish all of that liquor. Because there was always this idea that I had to get rid of all the booze in the house. It had to be gone. And like I said, I'm not going to pour it away. I'm not going to pour it down the drain. I spent good money on that stuff. And, so I would just keep drinking. There would be, let's say, this much at the bottom of the bottle. I would have to finish it that night. I never poured anything down the drain that I can really remember. Now, my wife poured a lot of stuff down the drain because I made a lot of promises to her as well. I would tell her, okay, today's the last day. I'm not going to drink tomorrow. You can take the rest of whatever it is, and you can pour it out in the morning. But something else, and one of the most conniving things that I used to do is that I would take that bottle, and like in the middle of the night, I would get up and I would pour all of the liquor into another container. And then, because my wife would mark the bottles a lot of times with an Expo marker or a Sharpie or something like that. So I would see the mark on the bottle of where she marked it, because, at the end of the night, she's like, okay, this is it. And you're not going to drink anymore, right? And I'd say, yeah, no, I'm not going to drink anymore. So what I would do is I would go in there in the middle of the night and take the rest of the alcohol and pour it into another container, and then fill it back up with water to that mark, to that line that she had put on the bottle. So when she would go in there in the morning, she was just pouring water out. And I would, still have my vodka. Because I always had this idea too that, I had to have something there just in case. It's like the axe that's on the wall that has the glass that says break in case of emergency. I always had to have the break in case of emergency bottle of vodka laying around. And I was just setting myself up for disaster every single time, because it never worked out. And that bottle that I set to the side, break in case of emergencies, always became the bottle that I always got into the next day. And then it went right back to okay, just for today, and then I'm not going to drink tomorrow. And I did this every single day. I mean, it was every single day. I would tell myself the same thing, just for today and not tomorrow. And then it would happen again and happen again and happen again. And it was just day after day after day. And while I was in this process, my drinking really escalated. Because this was happening towards the end of my alcoholism, when I kept telling myself this all the time. And I remember going to the bank and pulling some money out of my savings account, and let's say I would pull out like $100, with all intentions of tomorrow's going to be the last day. So I would go buy myself all this liquor. I would have to have the half gallon, and then I would have to have the little shooters too, because today's going to be the last day. Well, I've really got to do it up today. And I'm not going to waste a minute of drinking throughout the day, especially if I have to go to work. I'm going to have my mini bottles on me so that whenever I want to take a shot, I can take one. And, I would drink throughout the whole entire day, and to excess too, like major excess. And I would stay up later than normal because, there was this idea that I've got to drink as much as I can tonight because I'm not going to be drinking tomorrow. So I've got to have as much fun with it as I can. And there were so many nights where I would lay in the bed and the room spinning. I've got one leg off the side of the bed onto the floor to try to stop the spins. I'm sure you guys know all about that. And I would lay there regretting how much I drank. There were so many nights I laid in the bed wondering, am I going to wake up in the morning? Because I would be so intoxicated. Have you guys ever gotten so drunk before that you felt like you were leaving your body? Because that used to happen to me a lot. I mean, seriously, all the time. I would get so drunk at nighttime. I would go and lay in my bed, and the room would be spinning. It would be doing this whole thing like that too. And I would seriously feel like I might not wake up in the morning. I would be so drunk some nights that I couldn't even go to sleep. I was too afraid to. Because I laid down so intoxicated. There were nights where I would lay down and I would have to get back up out of the bed and just kind of walk around for a little bit, or either go and turn on the television and sit down and watch TV because I just couldn't lay down during that period of time. I was too drunk. Not to mention, a lot of times too, I was too afraid of falling asleep laying down. I had to sit up when I fell asleep because I was afraid that I was going to choke on my vomit if I did fall asleep laying down. But once again, I'm sure there are so many of you out there that can relate to what I'm talking about. This idea of tomorrow's the day that I'm going to quit, and today I'm going to drink as much as I want because this is my last day. It's like we give ourselves a pass to drink as much as we possibly can because tomorrow's going to be it. And we've got to enjoy as much as we can today because we're not going to be drinking tomorrow and for the rest of our life. And that's another thing too. And I say this all the time on here. But if you're in the process of trying to stop drinking, don't think about the big picture. Don't tell yourself, I'm never going to have another drink again. Because that used to give me the worst anxiety. This idea of I will never drink again. It would really mess with my head. Think of it just one day at a time. Seriously, think of it as if I really want to, I could have a drink tomorrow, but I'm just not going to drink for today. And I know I say that all the time on here, but I'm being serious because it really can drive you up the wall when you start thinking about the fact that you can never have a drink again. Just think of it for today, or think of it by the hour. I'm not going to drink till 12. I'm not going to drink till 1. I'm not going to drink until 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night. Whatever the time is, just tell yourself that. And like I said, if you have to do it hour by hour, you're at 1 o'clock. Say, I'm not going to drink till 2. You get to 2, tell yourself, I'm not going to drink until 3. And then as the day goes on, before you know it, it's 8 o'clock at night. You've made it that far throughout the day. What's the point in giving in at that point? Just go ahead, finish out your day, have some dinner, lay down, go to sleep, wake up tomorrow, and try it again. But don't give yourself that anxiety of I'm never going to be able to have a drink ever again, because it will not leave your mind. I was like, I've talked about this before on here as well, but I would start thinking about all the upcoming events I had in my life that were coming up in the future. I've got this wedding coming up, or I've got, this big event at work that's coming up, and how am I going to be able to function through that without being able to drink? This is a very stressful thing that's coming up, and I've never done it without drinking alcohol, and how am I going to do it? And this would be something that's coming up 2, 3, 4 months down the road, and I'm sitting here worrying about not being able to drink that far into the future, and it would really start to bother me. I mean, it would keep me up at night thinking about that. And it's already hard enough to get to sleep at night when you're trying to stop drinking. That it can keep you awake already. So why give yourself that kind of anxiety worrying about that? But if you are, seriously contemplating stopping drinking right now, or you've quit drinking, or wherever you're at in your journey, don't be like I was and keep telling yourself that tomorrow's the day, and then tomorrow never comes, and you just keep prolonging it over and over and over again. I told myself that for years, and that day just never came, and I never could get there. There are so many people here on this channel who have taken that next step and have changed their life for the better. And, all it takes is a simple glance at the comments, and there are so many people in the comments who have, like I said, who have taken that next step, and they have changed their life for the better. Because life on the other side is absolutely 1,000 times better than that life of living in the middle of addiction. Because for one, it's so depressing to be there. Trust me, I know. If there's anything I know about in this life, if there is one aspect of this life that I am fully aware of and educated on, it's being an alcoholic or someone with AUD. I know what that life is like. I lived it for a majority of my life. And, being sober is something that's very new to me. And I'm still trying to learn how to live a sober life. I've spoken about this, but, I still get cravings. I still think about drinking, especially when I encounter really stressful situations. Just like the last week, when we had to take my son to the doctor, because his eye was swollen. When I was on my way to the hospital that day, that's the first thing that popped in my head was, I could just stop at the liquor store right now, get a bottle, and all this will go away. I won't be so stressed out right now. But that wouldn't have solved anything. Like I said last week, if anything, that just would have caused way more problems. I would have showed up at the hospital reeking of alcohol. My wife would have smelled it on me immediately. And then on top of it, now we've got a child that we're worried about. My wife would have been like, what is he doing? He's made it this far, and now he's going to drink, and now I've got to deal with this as well. And I just would have added so many more problems to the situation if I had given in. And, I'm not going to say that I was going to do it, but, man, I sure was thinking about it. I thought about it the whole way to the hospital, and it was an hour drive to the hospital. That's a long time to be thinking about, drinking again. But once I finally got there and, walked into the hospital and I sat down with my son, I realized that was just not the right decision to make. And like I said, it's not that I was going to make that decision. It was just something that was on my mind. But don't be like me, and don't keep telling yourself that tomorrow's the day. Tomorrow's going to be the day, but, not today. And, keep pushing it forward and pushing it forward and pushing it off. Because, like I said, I did that for years. And before I knew it, years had gone by. And I never made that change. If this is something that you're considering doing, you've been drinking for a long period of time. And, you're not exactly sure if you haven't tried quitting, and it's been years, and you're not exactly sure how your body's going to react to this, please talk with the doctor before you do. Something I say on here all the time, but quitting alcohol abruptly and or benzodiazepines, it can be life-threatening. And you can have seizures, you can have all kinds of things happen if you stop abruptly. So please speak with a doctor, because there are things that they can do to help you. And I've said this so many times on here, but I went through a medical detox myself. And I don't think without going through that medical detox that I could have ever have done it. It's completely okay to go through a medical detox. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing to be ashamed of by asking for help. We all need help sometimes. All of us. And, I know a lot of us have a lot of pride, and we feel like that we can do it on our own, because that was me for so many years. I kept telling everybody, I can do this by myself. I can do it. Just me. I couldn't. I needed help. But I was too proud. And, I thought that I really could do it. But I think deep down inside, I knew that I couldn't do it on my own. But I was too embarrassed to ask for help. I was too embarrassed to go to a rehab facility. I was too embarrassed to go speak with the doctor about it. I didn't know what they were going to say to me. I was afraid of the shame that they were going to give me for the amount of drinking that I was doing. But at the end of the day, the doctors are here to help us. And, for the most part, they're not going to judge you. They just want to help. You might get the occasional person that might have a little bit of judgment, but that's just human nature. There's nothing that we can do about that. Don't let that discourage you from seeking the help that you actually do need. Because, like I said, it helped me tremendously, and it could help you as well. There are medications they can give you that they can help you through this and make it a heck of a lot easier on you. And, the easier that this is for you, the better chance that you're going to have of making it through it and sticking with it this time. If you're anything like me, I tried quitting over 100 times and failed. And, the more and more that you continue to try and fail, you start to beat yourself up, and you start to tell yourself, I'm a failure. I'm never going to be able to do this, which is not the case. You're not a failure until you actually stop trying. So don't beat yourself up. Ask for help if you need it, and learn from my mistake. Don't keep putting it off. Speak to a doctor first. But if you've spoken to a doctor, today is the day. Don't wait until tomorrow. Don't go and pick up another bottle and tell yourself, this is my celebration, my last night of drinking until tomorrow. And tomorrow's going to be the day. Because trust me, if you're anything like me, you're going to get completely intoxicated. You're going to wake up tomorrow. You're going to feel horrible. And what's the one thing that always works to get rid of a hangover? The hair of the dog. Drinking more alcohol. And it's just going to make it that much harder to stop tomorrow. Don't do it. Just go ahead and speak to a doctor and go ahead and stop. Because the life that's waiting for you on the other side is absolutely amazing. And I can't say that enough. It really is true. And like I said, just look at the comment section in any one of these videos. There are so many people there that are talking about how much their lives have improved, how much their lives have changed, their relationships with their friends, their families. Just every aspect of your life becomes better. It's like I was talking about yesterday. We can finally become the best version of ourselves when we remove that substance, no matter what it is. And it doesn't necessarily have to particularly be alcohol. It could be anything, any substance, or anything that you're addicted to. It could be gambling. It could be chocolate. It could be ice cream. It could be beer. It could be liquor. It could be whatever it is. Anything that is affecting your life negatively and you keep doing it over and over again, and you know that it's affecting your life in a negative way, but you keep continuing to do it, it's a problem, and we need to address it. But anyway, guys, like I said, don't be like me. Don't keep pushing it off, and don't go and do the things that I used to do and get this idea in your head that you're going to drink really heavy tonight because it's your last night, and then tomorrow you're going to start over fresh, because it never worked for me. It just doesn't. So anyway, guys, I really appreciate you watching today. I really do. Thank you so much, guys. I love you all so much. And I do plan on doing another live video this week. I'm not exactly sure what day that's going to be. I might do one on Friday. It just depends. But probably is going to be on Friday. I'll let you guys know tomorrow what day the live will be. But I'm shooting for like Friday afternoon, maybe Saturday. But I'm pretty sure that we have, my kids have sports on that day. So I'm probably going to lean more towards Friday afternoon. But once again, I'll let you guys know in tomorrow's video what day that's going to be. But once again, thank you so much for watching. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Love y'all so much. Bye-bye.